Welcome back to DBL. We just did a deep dive into the legal side of Britney Spears' conservatorship saga. But the other huge aspect of this story, of course, is her mental health. So joining us live is our very own medical expert, Dr. Kohli. So, Doctor, many armchair experts are quick to give an opinion on Britney's mental health. But as a medical professional, when you hear a grown woman pleading for her freedom, as we heard Britney do so passionately, what do you make of it?
You know, two things really bother me about the Britney Spears story. The first is the length of this conservatorship, 2008 to 2021. Now, as medical professionals, when we admit somebody to the hospital, 72 hours is what we get, and with court orders, we get up to 3 months. So the fact that it's been ongoing for this long disturbs me, because bipolar, if she does have it, is a waxing and waning disease. It's not like she's had it the entire time and she needs this. The second thing that bothers me about this, you guys, is the absence of medical information. Where's the data? Where's her physician's assessments? How often is she being assessed? Who's assessing her? What does her psychiatric team believe is going on with her? Without that, I'm just really disturbed by the situation.
Let's talk about lithium, because I mentioned it earlier. It's a strong drug. It made her, in her words, drunk and unable to communicate. What is lithium and what does it do to you?
So lithium has been around for decades. We've been using it for decades. It's used for people that have bipolar disorder, which means they get manic episodes and then they get depressed, or for psychosis, actually. So it works really well to treat those. And for most people, Jeff, they don't really feel anything. They feel better because it gets rid of the psychosis. But the thing with lithium is that it has a very narrow treatment window. So you can very quickly cross over from therapeutic, meaning it's doing a good thing, to toxic.
Wow.
And when it becomes toxic, it can have some of the side effects that Britney alluded to. It can make you feel like you're drunk, give you headaches. In the worst case scenario, it can cause cardiac arrhythmias, seizures, and even coma.
Wow.
Well, Doc, it's like, I feel like just as a society, we're just starting to talk about mental health now. We're seeing athletes, celebrities coming out talking about it. And that means that we don't know that much about it. I think a lot of people have opinions, but we don't know that much. So just me asking, and hopefully asking for our audience, when is it okay or allowed for like a medical institution to give somebody medicine against their will?
Such an important question, because it's very tricky. For everything we do, we usually consent, right? Whether it's an IUD or whatever procedure. But when we label somebody as having a mental health disorder, and that's why I want to be sure that the medical community is involved in this label, then you've taken away those rights. And we say they don't have insight. In other words, they don't know what's going on, and therefore they're not capable of making those decisions. But that is a medical decision. That's not a legal decision. That's not a decision to be made by her guardians or her conservators or what have you. So I think that's really important. The other piece of this is we can't let mental health be something that stigmatizes people for life. Once you get that label, you're never capable of making a decision for yourself. And that's the other part of the precedent that's bothering me about this case, is that really what we've done here, Al.
Yeah, because it's almost like they made the decision back then, which maybe was appropriate back then. We don't know. But then 13 years later, has there been any sort of follow-ups? Like, it's heartbreaking.
And it almost seems like it doesn't behoove the people that are in control of the conservatorship to have it looked at, because they're getting $16,000 a month, so why would they want that changed?
It really gives me a different perspective, talking to Mark from a legal standpoint and talking to a doctor who knows what they're talking about.
Both
it gives me a total, Al as well, but it gives me a totally different perspective on what's going on.
Yeah, and I think that's important, because we can all just like read the headlines and hear the emotional plea from Britney, and of course it's going to tug at our heartstrings, but it's great to also hear further validation and clarification from Dr. Kohli and Mark Eiglarsh.
And Al.
Well, and every single one of us could have mental health diagnosis, right?
I do. So what's going to happen? Like, if I were to ever, God forbid, something were to happen to Mark and I, would that be used against me? Because I have mental health, a number of mental health problems. So it's scary. It really is scary. I really hope that Britney and her dad can make this work somehow. Coming up on DBL, Harry and Meghan get the lifetime